If you are brand new to the DJI Mini 3 Pro, which is an absolutely awesome drone, here are a few tips that I learned along the way. Number one, when this thing first comes out of the box, this piece of foam right here is going to be behind the gimbal. And you need to obviously remove the gimbal cap very carefully because it's on there. It's very precise. And if you yank it off too hard, you can rip the gimbal off possibly. Just be very careful when you do that. The way to do it is you press this up, not press, I guess you pull it up. Again, very carefully. And then there's another piece that comes out right there. Pretty typical DJI drones. So if you used them before, you know about that. But anyway, the other thing is I'm used to using a Mavic Mini, where you pull down this flap to get the battery out. Well, guess what? There's no flap now. The flap is right here. You push this button in and you push this button in at the same time, and then you pull the battery out that way. Now, before you mess with the battery, you want to charge both the drone and the remote control if you went with that option, which, by the way, I highly recommend getting the controller so you don't have to keep taking your phone out of a case and putting it in. It's just a much more convenient thing to have this controller. I know it costs another $100 or $200, but it's worth it. Speaking of which, also get at least one more battery because 35 minutes of flying, which realistically is only about 30 minutes of flying, simply is not enough. Okay, secondly, one thing they don't tell you, when you turn this on for the first time, again, after you charge it, you will be prompted with all these different screens. It's very easy to set everything up, update the firmware for both the drone and the remote control, along with the Fly Safe maps, I believe they're called. But what they don't tell you, what they should tell you, is you can actually drag from the top. It'll tell you the time. It'll tell you how much battery power you have left. And then you actually want to drag this down twice, which will enable you to enable Wi-Fi. And the reason you want to enable Wi-Fi is so that you can download the offline maps, which can be found. See this profile button right here? Tap that. And then once you're on here, let me let me make this darker. Why is that not coming up? Come on, phone. There are offline maps. I'm not going to tap offline maps because if I tap offline maps, you'll see my location and all that good stuff. But it's right there. You'll need to download wherever location you're going to be flying your drone. You need to download the offline map there. Otherwise, there is a way to use your mobile phone in hotspot mode and connect through the Wi-Fi that way. When you're on location, if you forgot to download your offline map. But if you do it when you're still at your house or your apartment, wherever you live, you can download using Wi-Fi. Or, if you go to Burger King or wherever there's free Wi-Fi, local coffee shop, that'll work too. So the other thing is, by default, the button's on the back here. So this is the button C1 is on the left side, and that adjusts the gimbal from 90 degrees down to 0 degrees. 0 degrees down to -90, so facing straight down. And the one on the right actually rotates the gimbal to a vertical position. Here's one other thing. Now, I do not recommend flying this drone in the rain on purpose, but unfortunately, a downpour came out of nowhere. And I flew this drone in the rain, and it seems like there's no problems. Now, I flew it immediately back to myself. I wasn't trying to stay up there in the air with the rain coming down that strong. But this thing is definitely water resistant, and I just made sure, first of all, I dried it. I had a towel in my car, and really most of the rain problem that I could see got back here behind the gimbal. That's what I was concerned about. I was also concerned about the battery. The thing is, as soon as I landed the thing, I powered it off, took the battery out once I was in my car, and also these little vents right here got some water in them, so made sure to dry that out. And then once I got home, I actually used a hair dryer because I just actually had a problem with the GoPro that leaked when I put it underwater. And that's the method I was told to do with that. And the phone's ringing, so I'm going to end this video. See ya.